Hi, welcome back to the channel. So first I want to get something out of the way now that I have collected all the body fluid samples I had to in order to gain my health back. I wanted to thank you for your patience. Apparently I have a BMI somewhere between 32 and 35, which is extremely obese, and I'll have to turn my life around somehow. For now, I'm sticking to sardines. Apparently that's a good thing to do. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to look at chapter number 7 of Thomas Metzinger's The Ego Tunnel, in which he is exploring artificial consciousness, the potential ethical dilemmas of creating such beings, and what all of this matters for our future. As usual, I will present you with some excerpts of the text. There's also timestamps, so feel free to skip ahead to the section that attracts you the most. Let's get started. Imagine a world where machines not only perform tasks, but also possess a sense of self. This isn't just science fiction anymore. Metzinger explores the concept of artificial ego machines, entities that could replicate or even surpass the complexity of human consciousness. But here's the kicker. With great power comes great responsibility. The creation of such beings isn't just about technical prowess. It's about ethical implications that we can barely begin to fathom. So regarding this concept of ego machines, I have two statements for you, and I have to confess I was a little sloppy this time, so there might be actually more than one proposition in one of these excerpts, but you'll have to be a little lenient. So we may soon have a functionalist theory of consciousness, but this doesn't mean we will also be able to implement the functions this theory describes on a non-biological carrier system. Artificial consciousness is not so much a theoretical problem in philosophy of mind as a technological challenge. The devil is in the details. The real problem lies in developing a non-neural kind of hardware with the right causal powers. Even a simplistic, minimal form of synthetic phenomenology may be hard to achieve, and for purely technical reasons. Further, we have self-models can be unconscious. They can evolve, and they can be created in machines that mimic the process of biological evolution. In some, we already have systems that are neither exclusively natural nor exclusively artificial. Let us call such systems post-biotic. The likely possibility is that conscious selfhood will be first realized in post-biotic ego machines, and there's a bunch of examples for what could account for post-biotic systems. Now, just to clarify, Metzinger acknowledges that humans do have conscious selfhood, which is a product of our evolved biological system. What he is speculating about in this passage is the future possibility that similar forms of conscious selfhood might be engineered or evolved in non-biological systems, specifically in post-biotic systems that blend biological and artificial elements. Neuralink, the cutting-edge brain-computer interface launched in 2016 by Elon Musk, was FDA approved in 2023 for the first in-human clinical trial. Now, this represents a tangible step towards the realization of post-biotic systems that Metzinger describes. Neuralink could accelerate the advent of ego machines where human consciousness might be augmented, shared, or even transferred across non-biological platforms. Metzinger presents a thought experiment. What if we could create machines designed solely to experience eternal bliss? Sounds tempting, right? But hold on, this idea raises a crucial ethical question. Would such bliss be meaningful if it's based on delusion? Metzinger reminds us of philosopher Robert Nozick's experience machine argument, where most people would reject a life of artificial happiness in favor of a reality, however imperfect that might be. This suggests that humans tend to value things like truth, authenticity, and deeper meaning over just subjective experience. I also have two excerpts in this case. If we could colonize the physical universe with bliss machines, should we do it? If our new theory of consciousness eventually allowed us to turn ourselves from old-fashioned biological ego machines burdened by the horrors of their biological history into bliss machines, should we do it? Probably not. There is more to an existence worth having or a life worth living than subjective experience. The ethics of multiplying artificial or postbiotic systems cannot be reduced to the question of how reality or a system's existence would consciously appear to the system itself. Delusion can produce bliss. We must be absolutely certain that we are not systematically deceiving ourselves. Now here's where things get even more complex. Metzinger argues that by creating artificial consciousness, we risk replicating not only our strengths, but also our flaws. The evolution of consciousness in humans is marked by a delicate balance of joy and suffering, a balance that may not be easily transferable to an artificial entity. Should we then risk creating beings that might suffer just as we do, or worse? Metzinger challenges us to think about the ethical responsibilities involved in such groundbreaking developments. Incidentally, in 2021, Metzinger proposed a global moratorium on synthetic phenomenology, strictly banning all research that directly aims at or knowingly risks the emergence of artificial consciousness on postbiotic carrier systems until 2050. A link to that document is in the description box below. So we have two excerpts. Take the thought experiment a step further. Imagine these postbiotic ego machines as possessing a cognitive self-model, as being intelligent thinkers of thoughts. They could then not only conceptually grasp the bizarreness of their existence as mere objects of scientific interest, but also could intellectually suffer from knowing that, as such, they lacked the innate dignity that seemed so important to their creators. The story of the first artificial ego machines, those postbiotic phenomenal cells, with no civil rights and no lobby in any ethics committee, nicely illustrates how the capacity for suffering emerges along with the phenomenal ego. Suffering starts in the ego tunnel. Until we become happier beings than our ancestors were, we should refrain from any attempt to impose our mental structure on artificial carrier systems. Now, if you are at all interested in this ongoing debate about, nowadays it's called UAP, it used to be called UFOs, the same kind of line of thinking obviously comes to mind when you think of reports of abductees and the like. So, I mean, there is theoretically there is the possibility that we are also the product of some other civilizations tinkering with, life forms and the creation of such life forms. So we should, probably account for such possibilities, even if it's just a theoretical one for now, until things are proven. But I think there seems to be, once you start creating life, there seems to be a level of responsibility that I don't think you can account for, how intelligent you might be at the point when you're actually creating this life. So, and one could argue that, parenting children in these times in itself is questionable. So, just saying. As we develop these new forms of consciousness, Metzinger suggests that we might inadvertently be teaching the universe to know itself. Our advancements in creating self-aware machines could be seen as the universe becoming aware of itself through us and subsequently through our creations. This isn't just a technological leap, it's a philosophical one, where the boundaries between creator and creation blur. This notion of the universe knowing itself through our creations, I think people with a certain level of spirituality must sort of stumble upon this thought at some point in their spiritual development, I believe, and that's the question whether we are basically epistemic agents of something greater than ourselves. Ourselves locked in these physical bodies. So human beings might already be sort of the eyes and ears of whatever epistemic or ontic agent there might be, more complex than ourselves. So. Now we are entering an unprecedented stage. Centuries of philosophical searching for a theory of consciousness have culminated in a rigorous empirical project that is progressing incrementally and in a sustainable manner. This process is recursive in that it will also change the contents of the functional structure of our self-models. And if you think about it for a moment, just what the recent developments of artificial intelligence, to the extent that it is known to the common folk, in terms of ChatGPT and stuff like that, just only what has been developed so far has greatly impacted, I think, the field of philosophy of mind and our beliefs about ourselves in terms of, whether we're entities or, and all those adjacent questions. So, nevertheless, the emergence of coherent conscious reality models in biological nervous systems created a new form of self-similarity with the physical universe. The world evolved world modelers. Parts began to mirror the whole. Billions of conscious brains are like billions of eyes with which the universe can look at itself as being present. These short video vignettes can never really capture the richness of any of the chapters. I can just attempt to scratch the surface. If you're philosophically inclined, you should read this chapter. At the end, Metzinger offers a fictitious conversation between a human being and a post-biotic philosopher. It's hilarious because concepts like carbon-based chauvinism, post-biotic subjectivity and the like are being discussed. It's very entertaining. And we might have to engage in such conversations sooner than we would like to think. So we're at a crossroads. There's a chasm between biological and artificial, between truth and delusion, and it is becoming increasingly blurred. Metzinger urges us to tread carefully. The future of our consciousness could be bright, but it will undoubtedly be complex. Will we rise to the challenge and create with wisdom, or will we succumb to the allure of blissful ignorance? The choice is ours to make, or is it? Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.